Okay, let's get started then. So, first of all, I need to set up the tripod. This tray will sit on top. There's 3 bolts which secure the tray in position. Then up nice and fairly tight. Okay, so that's the tripod set up. Now we need to line this leg with the north on it, with N on it, to your north, using a compass or a phone app or something. Align it up more or less north. It's not critical, but close to north. Mount the head unit. These wheels will go over that pin, and there's a bolt under here which will screw into the mount. Don't do it up really tight at the moment, just so there's a slight bit of movement. Now we've got to align this with Polaris, the Polestar. This is your polar scope. Take them 2 caps off. This is your polar scope. You can focus it by twisting this. It should be in pretty good focus already. Now there's a bubble on here, a little level bubble level, which you can use to get the mount pretty level. So get that bubble in the middle of the circle and your mount's going to be level enough. Now your altitude, GPS position, not altitude, your latitude is what you'll put onto here to get you roughly in line. I live at 51 degrees north, so that pointer will be to 51 degrees, and it's adjusted with these 2 adjustments here. Loosening one and tightening the other will adjust the altitude of the polar scope. So once you've got it near your position, well, then these ones will adjust the angle of the scope, polar scope, that way. So you've got it roughly pointing north at your latitude north. Now we need to look for the polar scope, and you'll see the polar reticle, the round circle with a smaller circle in the side. Don't worry about the smaller circle. Open up Polar Finder, find out where the whole star is going to be, and the idea is to get the pole star on that circle in the same position. By adjusting these again, slight adjustment to move the star up and down in the scope and left to right. Small adjustments. Once you've got pole star where it should be, then you need to tighten this bolt underneath here fairly tight. That locks the head in position. You can then forget about these. So the mount will now be polar aligned. Once you've got the mount polar aligned, if you can, it saves a lot of time to mark the position on the floor where you've got your scope and mount set, where you've got the mount set up on each of the legs quite accurately. So once you've finished your session in the evening, you can just take your mount, leave it set up like that as it is, put it in your shed or in your wherever you're going to store it. Next time you come out, you haven't moved anything on the mount, you can then place it straight back on them 3 marks, and you'll know you're going to be very close to polar aligned. There'll be a final adjustment. What I normally do is I just twitch a leg like that until the pole star is in exactly the right place. With these tripods, they're best kept at low extension. If you extend up, they become a little bit unstable. Some people say about strapping the legs together to stop any movement. I've used it like that with no problem whatsoever, but if you used to extend, I would suggest to strap these legs tightly together. So that's the mount polar aligned. Now we come to mounting the scope. These are the clutches to release the mount and its movements. Right, so first thing is I'm going to put the counterweight on before I put anything else on. We've got to balance everything so it runs smoothly. So put the counterweight on, do up the back stop so it can't fall off. I'm going to use my reflector for this. Now I would suggest to turn this sideways like that, lock it off, and then you can mount the scope without any fear of sliding out. Do up your bolt. Check the balance of the scope. You don't want it heavy one end, you want it nice and balanced. That's lovely. It's not heavy any end, it's the same swing. There's a locking nut there, just do a little nip up on that, then the scope's safe. So we've balanced our scope so it's nice and well balanced. We can set it to the home position, which there's 2 marks on the mount this way, there's two marks there which align up, which set the scope to home position. So now what we need to do is check our balance this way. You see the scope is heavy, so now I'll move this counterweight further away to make more weight this side. Needs a little fraction more. Now we're balanced. Bear in mind you need your camera on here to balance the scope. So put your scope on, mount your camera, balance it both ways, and then lock off in the home position, the marks lining up here. So here are the 2 marks that show home there, and then there's a mark there which shows the home position. Now I'm going to mount the wiring, which you will leave, once it's set up you'll leave it all connected. So this is a one-time job. This is the SynScan unit. I'm just going to put it on there for the moment. I'll just turn around, turn around so you can see what I'm doing. So these are the motor controlled cables. It doesn't really matter which cable goes where, I mean, you know, which one does what. There's identical cables, but the ports need to go to the right one. From here you go to RA in on there, on that motor, and then the declination out, we'll go to the other motor. Like so. So that's the two wires in position. Actually, the better route for that will be underneath the scope. That leaves the cable a bit more free. So that's the two wires wired up. What I normally do with this box, rather than leave it on there, is I normally stick it onto the side of the leg. Then we have the actual hand unit, control unit, with a little bracket. Plugs into hand controller socket. There. Now we're ready for some power. There's a power unit here which is the UK power supply. You may need to source another converter. So I'll plug this in. Power supply goes into the power. This takes 12 volts direct current. So now you can switch it on. It's initialising. Now you'll need your exact GPS location and exact time of day and date. I stick to Greenwich Mean Time or UTC. Just makes it easier for me. Then I don't have to adjust anything. I've got an app which gives me GPS position and time on my phone. It's the exact. So I switch that on and then you'll press enter here, warning. You always get that warning. Enter location, so you'll put your location in there, your east or west location and your north location. And enter. Time zone, this is where I use UTC because I don't have to do anything. If you're in a different time zone, which you will be, you can adjust that to your time zone if you want. Otherwise, leave it on UTC. The date you'll enter in, today we are month month 06, day 21, longest day of the year, 2018, enter. Enter the time via GPS, perfect time, and then enter that, and then daylight saving, no, because I'm keeping it on UTC or Greenwich Mean Time. Into that, it tells you the angle of Polaris, but you'll be using Polar Finder for that, so it doesn't matter about that. Let's enter. It's going to ask you begin alignment. Press 1 for yes. It gives you option of 3, 2 or 1 star. I always do a 2 star. So you press one of the indicating arrows there till you find 2 star. Enter. It's now looking for a star that's in the area. You can scroll through many stars on here for the alignment stars. I'll use, you need to make sure the stars are visible for you. So I'm just going to choose what it's brought up here. I press enter and the scope will then slew to near Alderman. Okay, that's gone to nearby. Now what you need to do is using your finder scope and your camera on live view to centre that particular star in the middle of your camera. Once you've done that, by pressing left, right, up and down to get that centre. The more centre you get that, the better alignment you're going to get. Press enter. Now it says choose a second star. You can scroll through. I'm just going to use the one it said. It will slew to the second star. it's asking here again, use direction keys to centre object. So you'll centre it in the middle of your viewfinder, press enter, alignment successful. So we're now aligned, polar aligned with the mount, star aligned with the telescope. So escape now, if you want to choose an object. I know Andromeda's always in our sky, so I'm going to use the down button here to select object catalogue. Press M, that'll come up with Messier objects, and 31, which is Andromeda Galaxy. Enter. It gives you the location of Andromeda. Press enter, ask if you want to view object. Enter, yes. Now the scope will salute at Andromeda. Okay, so now the scope would be, if it's in position, pointing at Andromeda and tracking it now through the sky. The more successfully aligned you are, the better it's going to track. If you're very poorly polar aligned, you won't be able to take any photographs. It will just be stars with trails getting longer. So that's how to align the mount and the scope. So now I'm going to park the scope by escaping from everything, pressing the utility button and the up and down arrows till I find park scope. Press enter. Park to home. Enter. And the scope will go back to its home position and the marks on the mount. Now it's parked up, I can switch it off like so. Now to pack up, to make it easier for the next time, I would simply disconnect the power supply, take off the telescope, undo the clutch, bring it down sideways again, undo your lock. Scope off. Remove the counterweight. While we've got the counterweight there, put a bit of tape round the top to mark your balancing position. Then the next time you come to set up, you can just put your weight on straight to that tape mark, lock it off, and you know that's your balance. Unless you change your camera or something, that will always stay the same. So that's now ready to. What I would do in my house is I would store it here, just lift it over there. When I set up, I have got my marks here. There's two there, EQ6, EQ3, EQ6, EQ3, so on. So I'll bring this out, set it on my marks. Oh, that's wrong. That way, because this way is north for me. Put it on my marks, like so. Then check the Polaris. If it's out a little bit, Just tweak that until you can see Polaris in the perfect position.